Mr. President and fellow citizens of New York, the facts with which I shall deal this evening are mainly old and familiar, nor is there anything new in the general use I shall make of them. If there shall be any novelty, it will be in the mode of...
For essentially an hour in my presentation, there's a sense of him sort of being alive in me. And that's, it's very hard to put those into words, but it's not so much that I am Lincoln, but that I feel that Lincoln is sort of somewhat spiritually present in the room.
I fully endorse this, and I adopt it as a text for this discourse. I so adopt it because it furnishes a precise and...
I want to portray a living, breathing human being in places where you would have encountered him.
Democracy, headed by Senator Douglas. It simply leaves the inquiry. What was the understanding those fathers had of the question mentioned? What is the frame of government under which we live?
A lot of people do respond not only to the humor of Lincoln, but also the sadness of Lincoln. He was a very sad man. He was a melancholic man.
First went into operation, and 12 subsequently framed amendments.
Tremendous responsibility, and it's, again, I'd say that I wouldn't be doing it 26 years later if I didn't feel that I was in some way living up to that responsibility.
Those fathers understood just as well as even better than we do now. It is this: does the proper division of local from federal authority or anything in the Constitution?
I think every American is a Lincoln, fan. I mean, I think there's no president that is admired more than Lincoln.
Douglas holds the affirmative.
A deep thinker, a man who was well read, a man who used literature brilliantly in crafting his own speeches. He, constantly turned to the likes of Shakespeare.
Than we. If any man at this day sincerely believes that a proper division...
Because Lincoln is so ingrained in the American psyche, people know what he looks like. People have a sense of what he should sound like, how he should move, all those things. Even though they can't articulate them, that all has to resonate the minute you take your step in front of that.
To mislead others who have less access to history.
So it was his humor, and it was his ability to spin a yarn. You see people like Reagan, you see people like Obama who've studied, Lincoln. I mean, how does he give a speech? How do you use humor to still make a point and maintain your sense of authority? And he really wrote the book.
Pillated, if not fully justified.
I went through a period when I was researching Lincoln and creating the script of really not being sure whether I liked Lincoln as a human being, because of his deep melancholy. You're looking at a man that has fallibilities and moods, and who maybe has done things in a way that you understood as being an elementary or middle school child to be, so incredibly powerful and meaningful, and you find that there are all these kind of machinations that he went through to accomplish them.
Deny that such a right has any existence in the Constitution, even by implication.
If he could have saved the Union without abolishing slavery, he would have probably done it. But he was evolving, and had Lincoln lived, you would have seen him evolve as someone who had much better views on race, who really, and you could see that, the inklings of that, he was working for equal pay for African American soldiers, working towards equal education for black children, that he was moving in that direction.
Due to the necessity arising from its actual presence in the nation. But can we, while our votes will prevent it?
But he didn't come there of his own free will. I mean, he had people that applied pressure to him, and the fact that he was open-minded enough to start evolving in that direction makes him, I guess, unique.
Let us be diverted by none of those sophistical contrivances where we industriously plied and belabored. Contrivances such as groping for some middle ground between the right and the wrong, vain as the search for a man who should be neither a living man nor a dead man, such as a policy of don't care on a question about which all true men do care, such as union appeals beseeching true union men to yield to disunionists, reversing the divine rule and calling not the sinners, but the righteous to repentance, such as invocations to Washington, imploring men to unsay what Washington said and undo what Washington did. Neither let us be slandered from our duty by false accusations against us, nor frightened from it by its menaces of destruction of the government, nor of dungeons to ourselves. Let us have faith that right makes might, and in that faith let us to the end dare to do our duty as we understand it.